Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you're watching the Sci-Fi Center.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Saturday. I was in a shitty mood, but I'm not anymore. Last half hour really turned my day around. Fuck UPS, no matter what. But welcome to the Saturday Overnight Live show. Sorry for the lateness, but as I always explain, there is a such thing called retail reality. As soon as I hit start stream, that chime went off, and I had to go be an adult, a child-sized adult surrounded by Star Trek, Star Wars, comic books, things like that. So, yeah, I always have to remind you guys that even though I am whatever you want to call streaming or whatever, but I am also doing this in the middle of a functioning science fiction, horror, fantasy comic store. So, sorry for the about 20-minute delay, but thank you guys for waiting, being patient with me. And tonight's show is brought to you by Universal Pictures, Christopher Nolan. Can't even say that I'm actually intrigued by this movie, and I will probably be there. The Odyssey. The Odyssey gets released in theaters July 17th. For those of you who are in the Southern Nevada area and you want to go see this movie, stay tuned to all my social media. I love sending people to the movies, and no different this time. All right, this summer, Defy the Gods, Universal Pictures proudly presents the new film by Christopher Nolan, Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, everyone is in this movie. Everyone is in this movie. If you're not in this movie, you need to talk to your agent. The Odyssey, the journey begins July 17th in theaters and IMAX. It is rated R. If, like I said, you are in the vicinity of the Sci-Fi Center, we have a special screening on Monday, July 13th. Probably going to have some promotional items, so stay tuned. I know you guys love free shit, and I love giving out free shit. So there you go. The Odyssey in theaters, July 17th. And that's, a week before Comic-Con. So, I don't know if I'm going to be there for the advanced screening, but I will be going to see this. And who knows, I may even get that IMAX popcorn bucket. I almost got the Lobo popcorn bucket, but I relented. I had it in my hands. Kind of cool. Not the biggest Lobo fan in the world. If you guys have been watching this show for any length of time, I pretty much can't stand the character. But Jason Momoa, as sort of pointless as he was in Supergirl, kind of is warming me up. I would go see a Lobo movie with him in it. And even though, like I said, his point, he was pointless other than just having fun to the story. He did his part, but you could have interchanged him with anybody. But hey, the MILFs. If anybody's going to go see this movie on a repeat basis, it's the MILF because he is a MILF magnet. And I think that if they did a film with just him, the MILFs will go and they'll drag their kid because they don't want to pay a sitter. So they'll say, hey, don't you want to go see Lobo again? Don't you want to see Supergirl again? Mom, I already saw it again. I need to go, son. So, our daughter or whatever's going on. All right. So let's just say hi to everybody, and then we're going to get to it. By the way, programming note. Starting next Saturday, we are going to, it'll be a hard start time at 8 p.m. unless there's a wrestling pay-per-view on that I'm watching or something going on. Because what we're going to do afterwards, after the show, which is going to try to keep it to 90 minutes, we're going to do a Patreon-only post-show. And that's where we will start doing the open panels and stuff. Because when I do Patreon, it's not going to be broadcasted. I don't have to broadcast it throughout YouTube, so we can do things that will get me copyrighted and knocked off the air. We can actually do that in a private stream, and then if you're a Patreon, that link will only be available to you. So I'm stealing this from the Film Junkie because when he does his Film Junkie live, he does a post show, and I've been meaning to do this. And we're also going to. I will probably find some way to link it into the YouTube members too, because we got a lot of YouTube members, and I want to start giving you value for supporting the channel. All right, let's say hi to everybody and bye my co-host, who's probably going to be even later than I was to the show. All right, Duckman, how are you doing? My favorite Australian in the whole world. Just watched free Supergirl recap on YouTube. Beginning sounded mad, but it was okay. In the next half, still save some bucks. Okay. I don't think it qualifies as a bad movie. But as I gave you guys in my review, my review is in the description. I didn't think it was a good movie either. It's right there in the middle. I mean, I didn't feel like I wasted 2 hours of my time. There's enough there. If anything, there's a foundation to do on. I mean, she played the role well enough for me to where I would want to see her again. And like I don't like Lobo at all. I think the character is a joke. The character was created as a joke, but Jason Momoa playing anything can endear me. So we'll get into that later when hopefully Brad stumbles in, and because I know he's had to have seen it by. In fact, I know he's seen it by then. But yeah, I thought it was fun. But by the way, guys, also in the description is the link. I got 2 spots left. I got 2 spots left for the Sin Williams Comic-Con style. Now that's if you want to do a show, a 2.5 hour show on a Saturday prior to the Saturday overnight live show. I will help you host it. You bring your guest, you bring your topic, you give me what you want in the thumbnail, and you will host a show for 2.5 hours on a Saturday leading up to this particular show that you are watching now. What does this go to? Helps you get some equipment. I can show you some of the things that I've gotten, but I don't have them here. But picking up, I have a new camera, so I don't look like shit anymore. I'm picking up a nice mic, so I don't sound like shit anymore. And then some gyro cam, so that we can do the entire tour thing of the entire area like we did last year. I liked what I did last year. I just don't like how it turned out because the equipment, I'm using my phone for like everything. I'm either on the laptop or my phone, so I need intermediate equipment. So this helps. Also, you don't want me, walking around with a cardboard sign, and saying, hey, I will, work for food or we'll take pictures for food. You don't want me drinking out of the toilet. You want me to be able to go get something to drink, something nice. I would say you wouldn't want me sleeping outside under the sun, but it looks like as part of the group I might be going with to go into Hall H, I will probably be taking the night shift because I'm a night owl. And that'll help me get the best seat as far as getting close to Hall H because we will be broadcasting from Hall H. If that is the case, I am going to be doing an all-nighter, a true all-nighter from the camping ground outside of San Diego Convention Center. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And what I plan on doing is collaborating with people because there's going to be a lot of streamers out there, and I'm just going to interview them, and we'll do simulcast. We're going to have fun with it. So yeah, it's each year we go, you guys support the channel in order to go there. So thank you in advance. If you just want a small co-host show, you can do less than the 250. You can do 50. Anything like that. Anything that goes into it helps flights, helps hotels, things like that. So send William to Comic Con in style. The link is in the description if you would like to participate. Yeah, because you want. Yeah, there you go. You want me to have my moment at Hall H in the panel here. And then this is back before Absolute Batman even came out. This is 2024. This is where the announcement, the official announcement for Absolute Batman, which we will be discussing tonight, amongst other things. And then I got this. This is what these were handed out to us. That's upside down. These were handed out to us back in 2024. I had a feeling that it was going to be big because of the premise of it was great, and the way Scott Snyder, relayed the information to us with the excitement that he had, and these are what we got back then. I'm going to get him to sign this too. So, and as you've probably been paying attention to the internet because of the announcement that we will talk about in a couple of minutes here to the show. There are people who are going to try to put their kids through college with absolute copies of Batman Absolute #1. This is my copy. It's not for sale. And mine is autographed by Scott Snyder himself. And when I'm at Comic-Con, Neil Jagroda will finish it up. And then I have the ash can that I will have them both sign. I know that line is going to be long as shit, but you know what? He'll sign everything. But all right. Now that we're done with the housekeeping, let's go on to say hi. Let's see how you guys are talking to yourself. Streaming is a far inferior movie experiences. I don't know about New Zealand, but we got them. Yeah. I stream a lot of stuff because of just time and convenience. But if it's something I really want to see, like for instance, Blade Runner, Dune, things like that, I would never stream those movies before I saw them in the theater. But that's everybody's different though, and sometimes it has more to do with the convenience than anything else. I am thinking that was the strongest script that Gunn got for Supergirl. Then we have to remember Anna Nugura is also writing Wonder Woman Teen Titans. Maybe. I know that's who's supposed to be. Being, in my opinion, that the script was some of the weakest aspects about the film, they might want to make an adjustment, but who knows? Maybe you'll stick with them. No. They did not need to use the bathroom, and like I said, right before I sat down, and I actually before I hit I was sitting here right here. I had hit the start stream button, and it came in, and good customers from Puerto Rico, and we took a visit to the Absolute Wall. I'll just leave it at that. All right, let's see. Though I have to say I enjoyed it compared to Superman 2025. Corn Sweat is like a dead fish trying to act. His struggle watching the guy on screen. I don't have a problem with Corn Sweat as Superman for the story and the environment that James Gunn and company are trying to portray. I prefer Cavill's version of Superman, hands open, down. It's not even close. But that was for the story that Zack Snyder was telling. That Superman fit within the confines of what Zack Snyder was doing. David Cornsweat's Superman fits fine with what they're doing here. Let's see. I don't know if it was boring, but he was pointless. He's there hanging around, helping out a little bit, but that was just to get him out there. That was marketing. That was MILF marketing. That's what that was. The only thing that they didn't do that I thought they might do was have him take his shirt off. Whatever money you think Supergirl should be making right now, if the MILF magnet took his shirt off and walked around without his leather vest, the patented vest, the numbers would be different. Because trust me, when they do Lobo, it's not going to cost that much. Like, the most expensive thing about it will be him. that movie is going to. I think that movie is going to do better than Supergirl. Because it's not even about the character of Lobo. Nobody even knows or cares about that as far as the general audience goes. It's Jason Momoa. And Jason Momoa, over the last 7 years, his star has gotten to a certain level to where he has that built-in audience, and he could play cat in a fucking hat, and I think the MILFs should come see him. So, but yeah, I didn't think he was boring, but I just thought he was pointless, you know? I mean, other than retail, you know what I mean? So let's see. Patton also did skid out. Imagination. I actually thought, for what Lobo looks like, he looked like Lobo. I mean, we've never had a big screen live. I mean, the one that, as much as I like Krypton, that Lobo was kind of lame. So we haven't had a big budget, live action Lobo. So I don't really have anything, and I don't watch the cartoons with him in it. So as far as live action Lobos, he's it. He's live action big screen Lobo. Who are you comparing him to? So he looked like Lobo. He was instantly recognizable as Lobo, even before they panned up and showed his face. And when you just saw, because your first shot of him was from the neck down and his forearm, and you knew that was Logo. He moved like I would imagine he would move. He sounds like I would imagine he sounded. So I didn't have a problem with the adaptation of Logo. He was pointless. Within this, you could have removed him from the story and inserted anyone, and he would have been fine. But I understand why they did it, and now he's out there. And now, even if you didn't like the movie, I enjoyed Millie Alcock's performance, and I thought he was perfect for that. He was fine with that. Even if why the fuck was he in the movie? Don't know. But hey, other than marketing to the MILFs. I was fine. I mean, it's predictive casting to the point where I always hate when, he was born to play this role and he looks just like him. I'm like, that's what makeup chairs are for. That's what wardrobe is for. You can make anybody look like anything. But I'm fine with Momoa playing that because I enjoy watching him. Sometimes he's the only good thing about movies. Because the Fast and the Furious that he was in sucked, but for him. I look syndromed. The fuck is wrong with you? I have not decided. I'm looking at a Sony. Or is it a Sony? Hold on. I have all these links. I think it's a Sony. But it's one I'm looking at several. But I think it's a Sony. I don't have the model number and everything. I might, I might go, be honest with you, before we head out to Comic-Con, and once I actually get these things, I have the mics. One of the mics is here, one of them at the house, but the camera is the last thing I'm going to buy. The gyro camera, I have not decided on that yet, but Walmart is having a sale on a good one. And it's like $150 off of its normal price. So I think and it's here. I can go and actually, hold it, look at it, and inspect it, all that. So, but once I get everything, right before I head out to San Diego, I'm going to do like an inventory. I'll show you guys what I'm using, what kind of equipment that I'm using, and we'll probably play around with it. So I'll get all that information for you. RJ, I didn't like Supergirl. I didn't think Supergirl would do great at the box office. Well, we had discussed before, regardless of the quality of the movie, there were certain things that were built into. There were certain uphill battles that were built into Supergirl. It's a derivative character. It's not Superman. It's not a mainline character. What was it? We came up with a couple of different things that were that might hurt it, but that's the main thing. That's like, when you start doing, that's one of the topics we're going to talk about. So obviously we're going to, when Brad gets here, if Brad gets here, we are going to do a spoiler review of Supergirl, because if you want my spoiler-free review, it's in the description as well. We are going to talk about that movie. We are also going to talk about the big news of Absolute Batman being animated. Usually I don't give two shits about DC animation. The modern stuff is actually pretty good, but I don't have time to watch it. And you know how I feel about the 90s stuff. But if there's anything that is suited for this format, it's absolutely Batman. So we'll talk about that. But one of the things we'll wrap it up with is if you are doing any DC, if you are starting something with DC, if you're beginning something with DC, in my opinion, it must involve the Trinity. It must start with one or two people, preferably Batman. But if it's not Batman, it's Superman. And then after Superman, it needs to be Batman. And it needs to be in that succession. I don't care about the opinion of you can't rush things. You don't have fucking forever to do this. The general audience doesn't care about these fucking C, D, Z list characters. When it comes to DC, stop trying to, well, Marvel did it with so-and-so. This ain't Marvel. This ain't 2008. And this is not, Marvel's not a company. DC had been around over 2 decades. Before Marvel even printed a page as a company, DC Comics and their Trinity was ingrained into the culture of America before there was even a Marvel Comics. And as far as like doing movies and, you know, being the first to get their mainline characters in movies, in TV shows, DC was decades ahead of Marvel in that regard, both on radio and anything. So there is no comparison to Marvel when it comes to who comes first. If it's DC, Batman, Superman, and if you got time, Wonder Woman. Real fucking quick. All right, you gave me the A-lister and Superman. Your number movie, I'm sorry, shouldn't be a sidekick derivative character. And I'm not saying don't get to those characters or don't do those characters. But when you're talking, and I don't care what format it is, papers and staples, movies, video games, there's an expectation of and desire of who comes first. And it better have a bat or an S. And then out, whatever goes first, if it's the S, the bat better be there like real quick. And if it's the bat, you probably bought you probably bought a lot more time with yourself starting with Batman than anything else. But Superman being the very first superhero, universally known, universally loved in most cases, even if there's different opinions about it, whoever you started with out of those three, one of them needs to be next. If I start with Batman, I don't want to put Booster Gold. I shouldn't even be talking about Booster Gold until there's 3 A-level movies out. As it is now, the first 2 A-listers are going to be the same guy. Yeah, Superman last year, and then you have Superman again and Man of Tomorrow. And in between, yeah, Clayface, that's going to be fun. That's going to be great. That's going to be a horror movie. But you need the non-geek. You need Joe Sixpack. All right? You need Jenny Kager. You need the average person that is not running around wearing a Shazam shirt or a Spider-Man shirt or on the internet 90% of their lives. You need those people because those people, in reality, they make up the backbone of this industry. You know, and if they don't know who these characters are, they aren't going to come see them. They aren't going to get. And if you introduce Superman, the general public knows it's supposed to come next. And if it's not that emblem, you put yourself in a position where your films might struggle needlessly. Even when you start with comic books, let's take to the Absolute Universe. When I heard there were murmurs of an Absolute Universe, I know who's coming first. Because you want to get this universe off with the most people on board as possible. You want to build an environment to where you can bring in a C-lister, a D-lister, or a sidekick character. But if you don't have that ammo, you're throwing a party that nobody's coming to. So I believe that's one of the reasons, other than it's not a very good movie, that Supergirl suffered. Because if you take this same movie, if you take the same, um, you take the same Supergirl and just leave it as is, and you got Superman out 2025, and you didn't take forever to get Batman out, some type of Batman out, and then maybe your third movie, maybe your third movie, maybe even your fourth movie is this Supergirl exactly as it's been released. I guarantee you it does better because you bought out the big guns. You bought out what and who people expect when it's DC to be there. You bought yourself the big, and if those movies are good. Now, if you did a shitty Superman movie and you did a shitty Batman movie, then it doesn't matter. But I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt that at least their Batman movie would be at the level of Superman. And Wonder Woman comes third. If it were me, one just like Scott Snyder did it, just like when DC was created, how it happened, it literally happens in the order that I'm giving it to you in. That has been the expectation and the order of things for 85 years now. And then I hear the people that are on the internet, I hear the geek, I hear the Sub Nation, I hear all of you guys saying, well, that's the way they do it all the time. I'm kind of tired of seeing it. So it's not for you. We think that all these things are centered on us. Yeah. But if we're the only ones showing up to see these movies, you're going to have a math problem there. The general public is never going to get tired. If there's any sign that they are getting tired of Batman. I don't think so. I don't think so. The only solo, well, you had two solo, but when you had Wonder Woman, when you had a good Wonder Woman movie, you did well with that. If you were to if it's Asia Jordan, that's going to do well. So I'm sitting here with a Supergirl movie that wasn't very good. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't. It's right there. It's right there at the middle. But if it was movie number 4, at the soonest, I think the perception of all of this would be changing because you have your customer on what's called the retail rhythm. They're with you now because you started with what they know and what we know, the foundations of the DC universe. These first 3, and you give yourself time. After you've done that, you can have a dud. I mean, if you look at Marvel, the perception of Marvel is everything that they did was the greatest. No, you look at some of that stuff, it's kind of mediocre. But they did enough good stuff at the beginning, and they did enough good stuff in the interim to where if something wasn't all that great, you weren't going to be like, oh shit, is the MCU dead or anything? I mean, a lot of people over exaggerate the last couple of years, but I'm talking at the beginning. Because they had us with what they had, and then I get people saying, well, Iron Man wasn't an A-lister. Bullshit. He is. And even if he wasn't, Robert Downey Jr. doing cool gadgetry stuff would have been. But I will explain this again, and I've said this over and over again, so for those of you who heard it, sorry. It didn't start with Iron Man in 2008. It started in 2000 with X-Men. It carried over into 2002 with Spider-Man. And whether you like all the X-Men movies or not, enough people like the majority of those movies and all 3 Tobey movies. There is no such thing as a live-action Spider-Man movie that's made less than $700 million. So we're talking $700 million in the early to mid-2000s, which is a lot of money. By the time Robert Downey Jr. stepped into the Iron Man suit, the general audience who does not distinguish between who's running what and everything else, all they see is that Marvel logo. They had 8 years of that Marvel logo giving them good product. that they were primed and ready for the next thing. That's not the case necessarily with DC and their output as far as universe building. They weren't building a universe at that point. So the expectations for DC are different. So the comparisons are kind of dumb, I think. But yeah, I am I'm concerned that by the time we get a Batman anything out there, that the signal might get lost because our next movie is Clayface. That doesn't need to be big money for on its own. On its own, Clayface is going to be made for. I've heard it's dirt cheap, and you don't really need it's a horror movie. It's got a built-in genre, but for the universe building, because the U in DCU stands for universe, so we're not really doing this whole standalone means everything thing. You are literally admitting that you are building a universe, and the three most important characters. If you look at DC's Rogue Gallery, just look at the totality of the DC universe, no matter where it is, whether it's a video game, whether it's comic book graphic novels, the percentage of the Rogues Gallery and the characters that populate DC have mostly, like I think at one point it was 60 some odd percent, have filtered through those three characters. And then you throw in Flash and Green Lantern, you have even more, but it's within that varsity team. So the only reason anybody cares or even knows who Supergirl is or Catwoman is or Batgirl is because of the A-list characters. That's the only reason why anybody would have ever laid eyes on those characters, because they wouldn't have existed otherwise. So, and that is the expectation of the people who make up the majority of people who are coming to see these things. So I think that's a huge problem. And I'm not gonna, say that Supergirl was a good movie. It wasn't. It's all right. But I think under better circumstances, I think it would be doing better, and I think the perception of it would be better. And I think those circumstances are getting your big dogs out there, getting your foundation. You're up here trying to build the roof, and you haven't built the foundation of the house yet. People, and I know insiders and geeks like certain geeks like me, people on Twitter, people on the internet, they love these abstract characters. They love They love them. Well, I want to see something different. When the math is shown, when it comes to DC, and for the most part, in certain cases, when it's Marvel, but much more degree of DC, the general audience doesn't care about these characters, and not nearly to the level you need to get your booster rockets going and get into outer space. So, yeah. And I don't know what the final math is. I'm not even going to really focus on what the math of Supergirl is going to be, because I don't know what it's going to be, and I don't know what the numbers is. Numbers is. I'm not the biggest fan of trying to guess internal numbers as far as this goes. I would have liked to, if this movie was going to happen, if there was going to be these characters, if you want these characters to succeed and thrive, then you need to give them a shot. I always use the Navy, equation when it comes to this. An F-14 and F-18, it's one of the greatest attack planes in modern history. Right? But without the aircraft carrier, an F-18, for the most part, at least a naval one, it doesn't have the force behind it. Without that carrier group, without that support, it's just out there. So Supergirl is your tiny jet. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are the aircraft carrier. Everything gets launched from that aircraft carrier. You're not striking your targets. You don't have the fuel. You don't have the support. You don't have the infrastructure without that the aircraft carrier. And it's the same thing when it comes to these characters. It's the same thing. I mean, you walk out. If I walked out on the strip right now and I had a picture of, and I could go to any nationality because we got all kinds of people from all over the world here, and I take a picture of of um of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Hell, fuck, give me Alfred the Butler. I'm gonna run into people who know more about those characters than some of the C-listers that people are always, well, it would be cool to see that. No, because you know what? That person out on that street, that's going to make up for like 90% of the audience. So while we're doing a golf clap because we recognize, I can't believe they put him in the movie, the fucking movie's tanking because nobody else knows what character that character is. So, yeah, RJ, I don't know if it's the marketing. I just think sometimes situation overrides everything. Sometimes I always say this: if you could put a crappy movie out in a good situation and it will thrive. But you could put a good movie out in a shitty circumstance, and DC has shown you that you can do it multiple times, and Marvel has shown you the former. I thought Captain Marvel's kind of blew, but because of the situation and where that was put, that movie thrived. I don't think Supergirl's a good movie, but if you put that movie, I will tell you this: I think Supergirl's better than Captain Marvel, and I don't care what kind of heat I take for that. Especially with the expectations I had for Captain Marvel and where it was taking place. But you put it as the number 2 movie. Dude, I don't know if there's any marketing that could have helped you on that one. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to bring in Brad, but I'm going to go down some of these things. So topic number 1 is covered. That's
Sorry, I was just out of it tonight. It's wiped out the last couple of days. Came home and crashed.
Listen. Nobody fucking cares. Nah, I'm just kidding. Hey, Brad, welcome to the show. Wow, you look like you're going through some allergies. You all right? Where's the blood in your face? You're a vampire.
It's probably just because I only got the desk lamp on right now.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. It's a mixed bag for me. I'm someone poison. Listen, I had nothing against this movie. I'm not one of these people rooting for it to fail. I stood out there for a while, and I was wondering, should I even do a review? Because I didn't want to get caught up in that bullshit about, because I saw so many people that were ready to jump on this movie, no matter how good or bad it was. I didn't want to be one of those people, so I wanted to make sure that I waited and I was concise with my review. If it were good, I would have said it. It just wasn't good. But in all fairness, it's not like, dude, where's my car either. It's not that. And there are things there that, you can build on.
Like, what would you say? Because I've seen it too. And, but what would you can, like, as far as like comparing it as, or evaluating it as a Woman of Tomorrow adaptation, like, what would you, like, where would you rate it? Like, as a woman? Yeah, that's I figured. Yeah.
Not good. And here's the problem I had. And I'm not that guy. I, as a hardcore, just unrepentant, can't be saved comic book nerd, I'm still not that guy that says you got to make your movie like my comic book. If I want to read a comic book, I got thousands of them around me here. When I want to go see a movie, I want to go see what you did with the movie. That being said, they didn't do enough just within those rules. There are several different planets that look distinctly different throughout Woman of Tomorrow, and it is an art and visually driven story. You had the resources to give me at least that. Every place looked the same. The bars looked like Cheers. It looked like Cheers, but when they changed the cameras. It wasn't exotic like I thought it should be. Like I said, it did not have to be one for one, but the whole point is that there was variety in the world she had to go through to finish this. I also thought that the spirit of the journey of Supergirl, keeping these values that she inherited from both her parents and her time around Kal-El, were totally. And by the way, we're just going to go right into this, so I'm going to go ahead and put the spoiler review on. The values that she displays, and this is not just saying that it wasn't like the book. This is within the rules that they set up. And this is one thing. When you set up rules and parameters in your story, then all I ask is that you keep to them. So she's spinning the whole story. So Rufy, this revenge is going to turn you into this and that and this. You can't do this. Oh, by the way, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. Go ahead and walk away.
Yeah, that was some bullshit at the end. And I better after that ending, William. But no, you kind of get choppy there.
Oh no, I'm not talking.
You know, you got a little bit choppy there. You got kind of froze for a second.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, after that ending, when she just tells Ruthie, don't kill him, don't sink to his level, sends her off, and then walks up and just. Okay, I better not ever hear any complaint about Zod's death ever again after Supergirl.
Well, I never listened to that anyway. Yeah. But here's the problem with that though: is she if there was like with Zod, where Zod was like, Zod was about to laser people and he wasn't going to stop
the people. Yeah.
Yeah, and if Superman let him live, Zod told him, I'm going to wipe them out. I'm going to kill them all. And so he knew, just like in every Superman story where he kills them in the comics because they said, we're going to use our laser. We're going to burn off your atmosphere of your world. We're going to come from this pocket dimension. We're coming to you see what we did here? We killed every fucking human being on this pocket universe. And now we're coming to yours.
He's not
so you know what Superman did?
Yeah.
Superman took out the kryptonite and said, nope. And let them die. He murdered. He didn't just kill them. He murdered them.
Well, but he didn't do. Fine. But it wasn't for. He wasn't doing it for shits and giggles, though.
Yeah, he did it because he knew exactly. He saw what they were going to do, and he said, "No, we're not doing this." He wasn't a threat. He expresses why. This is for my dog. This is what you did to girl. So it's vengeance. So the whole time you're telling me, and I'm buying into it because I read the comic. Because in the comic, Ruthie does kill him, and she carries that regret with her for the rest of her life. And that's what Supergirl was trying to stop her from doing. But even Supergirl was not. She has the values of nothing in the value set that you get from David Cornsweet's Superman, either in this movie or in the previous movie, or her parents. That they show you that I want you to protect people. I want you to do all these things. Nothing was reflected when she just got that bull.
She said, "So yeah, don't sink this level. That's my job."
Yeah. So, and it's not her job, but I also thought the music was really
you know what that kind of reminded me of actually, in Batman Returns. It reminded me of when he's trying to talk Selene out of killing Shrek. I said, don't kill him. It's like if you cross that bridge, you'll never come back from it. It's like you're a little dark in your soul. Let's take him to the police. Don't kill him. And it's like you spent the last 2 hours of this movie, Batman. Like you stuff a bomb down a guy's pants, and it's like yeah. So
all right. So I had a problem with a lot of that, David. Here's the thing, and I said this in my review. This is the second movie in a row. As much fun as I had with Superman, I think a lot of my fun with Superman because we were promoting it, we were inundated with it. I didn't do that much with Supergirl other than send some people to it. I just haven't felt that awe. I haven't felt that. There were certain points of it where I was reminded of how I want to feel when I'm watching a Kryptonian. When they're on Krypton, I thought the story that took place on Krypton fit the book, and it gave me that awe-inspiring thing for a little bit. But there was nothing. I did not like the score of this movie, the way the score was broken up. There's a decent score in there, but it's not used nearly enough. And there are certain scenes where they made some really bad music decisions. I love Jimmy Eat World. I think they were one of the cooler bands in the early 2000s. But that song was not the song for that fight. If you can't give me something better than that, then I need a score. Give me Hans Zimmer. Give me. I know they had 3 different ones on there, but it should have been a score. There were so many things that this movie was broken up. Any momentum that it had from one point to another, I just didn't care. Krim was one of my top culprits.
Krim
as far
is
as
beyond forgettable on this.
It's not good because if here's one of the things that you don't have to go one for one, but when the opportunity is there for you to take what works from the comic and transfer it over to what you're doing, I say go ahead and do it. You look at that actor with all the thumbtacks and stuff in his face, he looks like Krim. That's him. And part of Krim's appeal wasn't because he was the guy from Mad Max punching his fist through the windshield, because he was a dashing, charming piece of shit. part of his whole getting under your skin throughout that whole series was the fact that this was his handsome, dashing, just cold, callous, not caring mother. And that's what he was. He literally, and I hate to use this phrase over and over again. I was looking for for Shaggy, Scooby, and Velma to pull his mask off and say it was you all the time. He was literally, he wasn't, And then they start out with him wiping out a family, and when somebody comes in and does that, I should feel compelled to hate that character. It's like the whole John Wick scenario. There are things that happen at the beginning of John Wick that make it no matter who the fuck you see next, that person needs to die. Whoever was involved in this remotely, discreetly, anything needs to die. I didn't care about any of these people. I didn't care about his thugs. He became, at some level, a video game person. And the problem with, to answer your question about where I put it as far as the comparison in the book goes, I was compelled to hate Krim from the moment, obviously from the beginning of the story. I wasn't compelled. I didn't really care about him in this movie. So yeah, I didn't feel anything about this movie. There were some fun spots. I liked Millie Alcock in this role. And like I said at the beginning of the stream, I have no use for Lobo in general, but Jason Momoa is coming closer to endearing me. If there was a Jason, there was a Lobo movie, I'd go see it.
Yeah, he was my favorite, definitely my favorite element of the movie. And he's he's definitely having fun with it. He's his usual, charming, charismatic self.
Pointless. Yeah. You had no point.
Oh yeah, that's the paradoxical thing. It's like it's like you could take Lobo out of this, and it's like plot wise, it's like it would be the same, but at the same time, it's like if you took Lobo out, you'd remove like the most entertaining component of the movie. So it's
I said at the beginning, if he takes his shirt off, this movie's making another 8 or 9 million just right off of that alone because the MILFs are coming. I think it further proves your point that they should cancel Bane Deathstroke movie now. I didn't know we would get one of those, but why the only reason, and I don't care about Bane, the only reason why I would or anyone else would care about Bane is because of Batman. Deathstroke as well. More Teen Titans with Deathstroke, but he is a Batman villain as well. So the main reason I would even have any regard, these characters are accent pieces. It's like you're coming out, and here's another food analogy, but they come easy to me. I go to Fat Burger because I frequent the place. Sponsored me.
Yeah,
I go there. What am I going there for? Fat Burger. I come in for my 2 pounds of happiness, and you bring me out just the fries. Mm-hmm. You bring me out the tomato. You bring me out the lettuce. The only reason those things even mean anything to me is when you add them to the 1/4 pound or 2/4 pounds that cow gave his life for. I only care about the rest of the stuff because the main thing. So you're giving me characters that really only exist because of the main characters before you give me the main characters. Sony had that problem, but Sony had a lot of other problems. DC has 100% control over every one of their characters. They don't have to do any of this. You want to give me Bane? Give me Batman first. And I don't have a problem with Clayface because I don't think you're not taking a risk on Clayface. You're spending 40, 50 million on Clayface. You'll make that back. You'll make that back easily. But what does that do to push me further up the ladder when it comes to my regard for the brand in this universe? You're not just selling a movie, you're selling a brand, and in order to sell a DC brand, you got to have them all out there. So yeah, for me, and it's not my studio, just the loser sitting in the conference. Batman first, Superman second, Wonder Woman third, and if you need to, give me a Batman sequel before you even think about giving me some of these characters. But at least have the Trinity out there. At least have the world renowned. Get your attention. Get the attention of the majority of the audience that's going to come see you. Stop trying to please insiders like us. We think we make up the majority of the audience. No, we don't. So yeah, that's what I would do. Hello, Droga, the other Australians here. That's a little personal. What would that movie do to you? Damn. All right. Yeah, it might struggle to make 200 million, but who knows? But we also know where it
That,
got
that
it's got its money going somewhere else. So I don't care about
that
that.
surprised me. I mean, I pegged it like going into this weekend. I was thinking and I never like give like hard dollar estimates for like even if something is just like a guaranteed slam dunk. It's like because I'm just bad at that. I don't give like hard box office.
Yeah, I've gotten worse because
Yeah.
I just don't know where the money is going and where it's coming from, who owes who's getting
Yeah.
a tax break from somewhere else, and with like I said, with with KFC and all these other places giving them whatever money they gave them, that's money that comes off.
But
That's money that they don't have to split with the theaters. So
I was
that's actually value. So,
but I said on here on the show, I was the range I was giving was I figured it would do about as well as the first Shazam. I thought like for a Supergirl movie, I figured that's probably that's like I don't think that's like an unreasonable expectation. It's like about what Shazam did. I think it's it could probably that's if they do that, that's probably a pretty good result. And it's like now it's like
what did Shazam do? I can't even remember. I wasn't the
that
biggest
did.
fan of that movie being made anyway.
Let me look that up. I think that did like 360. Pull that up.
And they did that. There was different reasons why they did that because they had shit on the other characters so bad that they couldn't really do anything more.
Yeah, I did 368.
Yeah, and
I was figuring like in that like give or take like 30-40 million. It's probably that's what I was thinking. Supergirl probably roughly do.
And as much as I Damn's one of my favorite comic book movies in recent memory. But I'll say this: as much as I love that movie, much as that began this trend, I don't make that movie. But they didn't. They were so afraid because they had made all their mainline characters and everybody involved with them so radioactive. They were afraid to touch those characters. But if you're DC Comics and I see a guy in a cape and an emblem on his chest, it better be an S, or you're going to struggle. At least, like I said, without the problem with Shazam is whenever DC did anything, the first question is where's Batman, where's Superman, where's Wonder Woman, and they couldn't answer those questions. With Supergirl, there's no question to be asked. Well, there is a question to be asked, but I know the answer when it came to Hamada and all those other clowns. I understand. Well, we wanted to get the script ready. And this was, I'm not going to make a movie unless the script is right. All right, then here's what I said.
That's biting him in the ass big time. That comment right now.
This script wasn't good, in my opinion. And two, even if it was, you know what? If you like the script better than what was coming along with Batman, then in my opinion, you drop everything and you focus all your resources in getting the best script out of Batman. Because no matter what, that movie needed to come out first. Because what you've done now is you set yourself up before we get another A-list movie from DC. That won't be until 2027. And in the interim, I got Creature Commandos, I got Clayface, and I got Supergirl. I don't know if the signal is strong enough with normal folk to grab him, So I wish him well. All right. So what do we got here? Yeah, we will get that. Will be next because we're kind of mulling through these.
Oh yes. And I knew William was going to be excited about that news. But actually, I mean, since you're in direct,
I actually know who is.
I was going to ask, like, since you've had some direct contact with Scott Snyder, did you maybe get like a heads up about that at all or anything?
Well, when I interviewed him, that was where that was going.
Yeah.
No, actually, Scott Snyder is going to be the showrunner for that, and anything that derives of that, and the writing will come from what we've done with Absolute. Him and Neil Dragotta will be the.
I need to see that act scene. I need to see that act scene right off the bat. Yeah, it's like possible that way. I can't remember, but I'd run.
Hey, Will, saw Supergirl on Friday. Liked it more than Superman. I rated 7.1 out of 10. With the way Clark's Kryptonian parents were betrayed, this universe seems Elseworld. So I didn't mind the liberty. I didn't really mind. I minded the liberties that hurt the story. You change what you need to do to propel your movie going forward. But there are certain things. If you adapted this story, then and you can't leave things out of it that that'll hurt the story. Krim not being Krim hurt the story. He was unwatchable, and that's nothing against the actor who played him. That was what he was given to work with. Every time he was on the screen, I was like, "What, this motherfucker again?" And that's not how I should be feeling about the guy who I should be hating because he harmed an animal. They added sex trafficking and stuff in it. I don't believe was in it. But I mean, there was nothing. This vile as Krim was supposed to be, the portrayal of him, I didn't give a shit about. And making him look like I said, something out of Mad Max didn't add to the character because that wasn't what made him reprehensible to begin with. So yeah, I gave it a 5. That's a fair rating for me. I gave it a 5.
That's about where I think I kind of land on it too. Yeah, and you know, and one thing also is like the flashbacks occurred, which I will say one thing that was kind of cool about it was the like all the Krypton flashbacks, the fact that they have them speaking Kryptonian throughout. It's, you know, because, you know, traditionally we see them, they're speaking English and we're just kind of mentally thinking, okay, this is, this is a stand-in for a Kryptonian, but they actually go the extra mile with that. It's like, okay, no, they're actually speaking Kryptonian. But the design of Krypton I found actually surprisingly unimaginative. Like Krypton did not feel like very alien.
Yeah.
It did not feel alien to me. It felt very like this is it.
None of this felt alien, and this is the most alien Kryptonian story that we've gotten in a long time. This takes place almost entirely, in fact, entirely on other exotic worlds, and I just didn't feel that I was being taken to any of those places. Krypton, and I hate to be that I'm not trying to be the asshole to start some kind of war between Snyderverse and this, but you look at Krypton. Krypton looked like it was from a different world to me.
Oh, Krypton and Man of Steel, that leaves this in the dust.
Even with the flying dicks, okay, I was fine with everything on. It was alien. I when I was in that opening scene in Man of Steel, I felt like I was on another world. When I'm watching Supergirl, I feel like I'm here in Vegas. I literally feel like I'm here on State Line. So yeah. All right. Well, the expanded Blu-ray 4K comes out. I'll probably buy it. How would you feel about giving the Supergirl story an animated night? Well, I don't even want to see Nightfall get the Nightfall treatment, but no. If they're going to keep it, it's not the visuals aren't what I was hoping they would be, but the story adaptation and the flow, you would have to change it. You would have to basically start over and do a complete readaptation if it were going to work, because I think there's too many things they made decisions that I thought just didn't go well as far as making this movie work for me. RJ, I'm going in order, guys, so I'm going to get to you. There were a lot of decisions made. This movie left me scratchy. Yeah, while I was watching it, I was scrapped. That score was like,
yeah,
I just
reliance on needle drops.
Yeah. Well, and even then, there were certain times where there was no needle drops and there was no score, or the score was brought down. I think, and we've covered this. I think when it comes to scores, it's one of the most underrated, most important things when it comes to a movie. And I use Hans Zimmer and just everything that he does, everything that Hans Zimmer does.
At one point, he was going to be doing the score on this.
Yeah, and he needed it. But you look at Blade Runner. There are scenes in Blade Runner. There's a scene called Seawall. If you ever watch Blade Runner, and you should, but I know some of you guys don't like it, but I'm just going to give you an example. There is a scene called Seawall where the score, they're fighting. Officer K, Ryan Gosling's character, is fighting his arch nemesis, another replicant, and the song starts out, Seawall starts out, and it escalates. As the intensity rises, as the fight gets deeper, as they get more aggressive with each other, as the stakes rise, the score rises to the point where it is deafening in the greatest way because you have reached the zenith of that scene. There was none of that, and there was some of that in the in Superman 2025. Not as much as I would have liked, but it was there. It wasn't here. I know there was a score there somewhere, but it was broken up. It wasn't. I didn't feel overwhelmed by it like I think I should. So I thought, I'm a big score guy when it comes to superhero movies. Give me a score. I know I'm a fan of the soundtrack, the motion picture, but there are some elements to where even in Top Gun, which is basically a rock video with a jet, even then there is a score in that movie. There's a theme. There's an anthem to that movie, and I just didn't feel it with this movie. So Yeah. Maybe, but it didn't feel me. I don't.
Oh yeah,
It may have happened
I
that way. I got the feeling that this is the movie that it's as much of the movie, enough of the movie that they wanted to get out is what they got out because there are certain decisions that they're made that I can't see being edited in or out. That's just me, but who knows? We'll find out
I
later
know
on.
it felt to me like this had a good 20. I mean, obviously any movie's going to have like an hour worth of deleted scenes from the the rough cut or what have you. No, to me though, this felt like this had about 20 minutes taken out of it, like pretty.
But
Like
see,
last minute.
there was nothing in this movie that made me feel like whatever 20 minutes they left on the floor was going to make a difference. Its concept is not good, and when you have a bad concept, I don't care how much you add or cut out. It's still you're just adding more fat. It's like you're cutting the fat off of meat and adding it back on. The fat's not doing you any good anyway. So I just didn't feel. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll see. Gillespie. I don't know, but I just didn't feel that the concept wasn't good enough for whatever was edited out for me to. Yeah, Danny Trejo's like pushing 70. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to do. He'd be
Yeah,
able to
he
do old
was
man
actually
Lobo maybe.
for the longest time. He was actually my fan casting for Lobo. I thought, oh yeah, just paint him gray, and yeah, he'd be a.
This is two movies. This is two movies where I have had an issue with Superman. I just thought it was too. It was just off putting. I don't want to say too comic booky because it's a comic book movie, but those colors bleed better on paper when you have to use some of your imagination to put yourself in there beyond what the artist gives you and the colors gives you. When you're living in a world that we all lived in, I wanted to be certain things. I had problems with the color palette for a different reason than I did with Superman. We're going to these worlds. Hold on for a second. I need to articulate this with the actual. I mean, I open up the book and automatically I open it up to a page. No matter where you open up, this comic, this book, you're seeing splendor, and and this is not something that is like undoable when you're talking about the worlds and the capacity that we have with CGI and all these other things that we have. And you can't say, well, that will be too over the top. You got a dog rolling around in a cape, flying and barking and peeing on things. So here we go here. See how the setting is? And this is all doable with what you had. It's not like I didn't see the effects that could have been used. They just weren't used. And then you have, just anywhere. I'm just randomly flipping through, guys. I'm randomly flipping through. And here's another world. Another page. Look at each page I've shown you. There's a different hue. There's a different color. The sky is different and everything. Yeah, I got a green sun, but there was so much more, that was doable. And even when I say, like, I'm not one of those guys that say, oh, it has to be like the comic. The point of going through the different worlds is the exotic differences between them. That's literally part of it. That's written into the story. The physical differences of these worlds, you know, are are written into the story to the point where they're part of the story. So I didn't think the aesthetic was where it should be. So yeah, I had color palette issues with both of these movies, but for different reasons. Okay. Best stuff in the movie was Corn Sweat and the stuff. Well, best stuff in the movie for me was the stuff. I'm a big fan of Krypton, and whenever if you're doing super anything, I might be the one judging you how Krypton looks, man. Because if Krypton looks like shit, I'm like, I don't care about Smallville. It's a farm. Wherever Smallville is, it's a farm. You can do a farm. But that part of the Kryptonian part of it, to me, it's he's an alien. He's an alien, and I wanted to look alien. So for me, the best part was that Kryptonian stuff. But even then, I thought that could have been. I thought the design could have been better. I liked Argo City. I thought they could have did something different with that. I don't like the design of it, but it was okay. But there was not enough of that. The good elements of this movie, there wasn't enough. And I thought the character building with her could have lasted a long. When she's with her parents, and she's growing up, and she's like, she's willing to die because she doesn't want to be alone. She's like, let the radiation take me too. That's where the trauma that defined her character throughout the story begins. And I also thought one of the key things, and I said this on Junkies last night, there's a dynamic that they touch on in this movie that I thought was effective at a certain time, but doesn't carry over. There's a dynamic in here that is super important. I thought they had the actresses that they had to play these roles were perfect to carry over the dynamic. It just doesn't happen. And that whole, Ruthie's a little bit more of a selfish snide. She's in the movie, but much more. But to the point where there's a very important juncture in here where a car snaps because Ruthie's like, you haven't lost anything, you haven't seen anything, and that's where those flashbacks really could have helped because you're talking about a person who watched her world die. Kal-El left; he didn't even know about until later on in life. She watched her world die, and then watched it, and got sent out alone. So she has that trauma, and when Ruthie's being selfish, is yeah, you lost your family. That's horrible. But there's a certain point here where that relatability not only relates Ruthie to her and, their relationship changes, it relates both of them to everybody who's lost somebody or is going through trauma. And I thought they missed the mark on that. I thought everything was there. The actors, the ability, all that was there, but the script and the momentum just failed them there. So, did I say the best stuff in the movie? Yeah, better. Yeah, I thought Alcock was good. I thought the girl, I forgot her name, was good, and I thought the casting was strong. I mean, both, he's done a good job in both of his movies, and casting is just this particular one just didn't help.
The casting, like the people, the casting, they're good with what they're being at. They're good with the material they're given. What they're good with what they're being asked to do. Like Amelia Alcock, she's good in what she's being asked to portray a Supergirl who's just flying around the galaxy getting shit faced. And Lobo, Momoa is Lobo. He's the life of the party. It's like there's no nobody's given like a bad performance in this movie. The only thing that kind of drifts into that is Krem, and even that it's just he's just written very one dimensionally. So
yeah, and he's not, and it's just not good. I have no news. I do not know. The moment you'll hear it,
oh man, Monday morning. Man, this is going to be the because now they're going to start playing the blame game on this, in the trades and what have you. So yeah, buckle up.
It all depends. It all depends. I thought I don't think the company looks at it as a bad movie, but there are movies that if you put them in the wrong circumstances, you doom the movie sometimes.
Yeah. By the way, Aaron Droskow's gonna let you know.
I'm doing them in order. I don't think because you're only going to get a Superman story, I don't see Wonder Woman or Batman being made. Then this is a done deal. It's not that I don't think this is sustainable. I don't think you can do this with derivative characters. I don't think you can do this with second tier, third tier villains. I don't think you can do this. So if that, I don't think that's the case, by the way, for it. But if that's the case, then I don't see this lasting long, because you need to grab Joe Average, you need to grab the layman, you need to grab the 98 percenters, and if you don't, you're not getting them with Clayface, you're not getting them with Supergirl, you're getting them with who you think should be there. Who you think about when you think of DC, that's who you start with.
Yeah, as Aaron pointed out, Aaron, it wasn't tonight. The test was on Thursday night. For those of you who know, of course, I talk about my martial arts life a lot on here. Yeah, my school, I in 3 different disciplines right now, in Tang Soo Do, Jiu-Jitsu, and Krav Maga, and I had my blue belt test on Thursday night. 4 hours, really taxing. But yeah, I got my blue belt, and that's it. And that since then, it's like okay, it's like between that and work through Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, that took a lot out of me. So it's like that's why I've been kind of like zoning in and out. That's why I wasn't on the other night, because I was just dead tired.
Pussy. But we know now her first movie is flopping as we communicate. I once again, situation. As mediocre as I think this movie is, there are mediocre movies out there that are released under better circumstances that do well. So
I do think this is better than Captain Marvel. I do like it more than Captain Marvel. And Captain.
yeah, and
Here's
Captain Marvel was disappointing.
the thing about Captain Marvel that that this doesn't do, that Captain Marvel does. This is what annoyed the hell out of me about Captain Marvel is that Captain Marvel again. It's bland, it's average, it's mediocre. It's a movie that I call it's aggressive in its averageness. It's like
boring.
It's so paint by the numbers, and it's so proud of how average it is, and how and that's what really drove me nuts about Captain Marvel is the movie itself just has this real egotism that it thinks it's the most important thing since sliced bread.
Well, it could do that because of where it's sat. So, all right, Clinton.
Endgame can do that. It's like this.
Captain Marvel could do it because they knew everybody was going to go see that movie, even if it was average.
That's what drove me nuts about Captain Marvel was again it's something that mediocre being that proud of itself. It's like Supergirl does not have that same egotism. That's not communicated.
Or the cover that movie had, as William said, or as I said. What does flopping mean in this day and age when streaming and VOD, seeing it on regular TV? That's true. But they're building this universe. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the risk is mitigated. You're not paying a whole bunch of money to go see it in the theater. I don't even know if this is going to do well on streaming. I'll have to see. I don't know. That's not a statement. That's just a question. The actress was not miscast. The source material wasn't. They didn't adapt it effectively. And it has nothing to do with Tom King. I listen, guys. I understand there are some of you out here who don't like his Wonder Woman. I understand. But when you try to indict the whole of Tom King's worth, I have to call some bullshit. I think some of you overdo it when it comes to the anger of him in a certain character, but Tom King is an accomplished, successful writer. This has nothing to do with him. Because, like I said, if you put this same exact movie without any improvements, you put this as movie number 4 or 5, we're having a whole different circumstances, a whole different conversation. So, and Tom King wrote the story. If they would have gone on the story that Tom King wrote, then I don't think we're having an issue right now. So I don't think Tom King has anything to do with it. And by the way, guys, when I hear the word flop come from the chat, we don't know shit, dude. We don't know. We don't know what their finish line is, to be honest with you. I think we kind of like just when we play our guessing games from 1,000 miles away, sometimes we look dumb.
Their finish line ain't like 200 even off of this though.
Then we don't know if that's what it's going to end up making. We're only in week 1. We don't know. We don't know what it's going to end up making. But there's one thing I couldn't care less about. If I tried, is hearing the word flop from fans. That includes myself. If you notice, I try not to use the term because we don't know shit. Now, fans trying to articulate and use the word and analyze flops and this and that is like me trying to perform brain surgery based on what I know now in life. Someone's going to die. Right? That brain ain't working. So these trendy words that people throw around, it doesn't mean that we know anymore. It just means that we know how to say a word. So I don't know. None of us are going to know what their parameters are, and I don't care. I'm not here to talk about Supergirl's box office. Because there's been really, really good movies in my life that I've seen that have not done well at the box office. My favorite movie of all time was technically a box office bomb, but it's one of the most quality things I've ever seen in my life. So what Supergirl did in the box office doesn't mean shit to me. It wasn't a very good movie. And if you want to relate the box office to that on another stream, you can. But fans, being the analyst and the dissectors of a flop, it's like, sometimes it's like having your dog put a puzzle together. It's just not going to happen. All right. Maybe. Once again, don't know the budget. Don't know how much licensing they pulled out because they're never going to give us those numbers. I don't know how much it's going to be on how much it's going to make on POVOD. I know they get the majority of that money. I don't know. You guys could be right, but like I said, I'm not. It's when we're talking flops with the knowledge and what that we know as fans. Like I said, it is like me walking into Cape Canaveral and saying this is how we're going to launch this spaceship from this platform today. They're going to throw me out because I look like a fucking moron for even implying that I know. And I just, like I said, I'm going to keep it to whether I thought it was a good movie or not. It wasn't. Let's see. Well, they'll start doing that with the licensing because all those popcorn buckets, that Lobo popcorn bucket sold out or where I was at. So even if you didn't like the money, if you like Lobo,
you get
that's a
popcorn
kick-ass popcorn bucket. Yeah, it's a kick-ass popcorn bucket. And we don't know. I mean, it's rumored 100 million. I don't think that's that much. I don't think it's anywhere near that. But here's the thing. Even just let's cut that in half. Say it's not 100 million, but it's 50 million. So between POVD, where they get 70-some odd percent.
You're talking about the budget?
No, I'm talking about the money that they got from KFC and the licensing and the product placement.
Because it definitely costs more than $50 million.
I don't even know. I hear people saying 170. I don't hear from people that I would trust, and they're not going to ever release that number anyway. But if you take how POV works out, because who owns these companies, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know who gets the lion's share of the money is the studios. And then when you're talking about money that is gained from things outside of the box office, they get all of that. So even if it's not 100 million that they're getting from KFC and all these other places, it's 50. It's 50 that doesn't get cut up between the box office and anything else. So I don't know what the parameters are for success. I can't tell you if you're winning if I don't know what losing is. Let's see. I'm trying to get through these as quick as possible. Some of you guys are talking to yourselves or talking to each other. So I'm going to skip past. Yeah, but Nolan wasn't building a universe. For all I know, Nolan would have been bad at building a universe. Nothing I've seen that he's done would indicate that that's what he would want to do. And I would not use his blueprint to build a universe. His movies, nothing in his Batman movies give you an indication, in my opinion, that that's what he would want to do or that he would do it well. So saying that somebody's out of touch when you're assuming how someone who has not ever built that type of universe would do, that's kind of a reach. What they do with Lantern TV show, but Bane, Deathstroke get a movie. I wasn't there. I am glad that Lantern's got a TV show, and I don't think Bane or Deathstroke, any combination thereof, should be getting a movie. If you want to throw them in a Batman movie, fine, but under no circumstances do I think, and I damn sure don't think they should be getting a movie prior to the Bat. So, but as far as like Lantern, and I had somebody else ask me, and I'll answer this question now. I didn't like this. What does this mean for Lantern? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if your mind wants to make it that way, then yeah. I mean, but as far as if the mediocrity that was this movie is going to affect what, I don't think so. Given the person running this, given the people who wrote that and did the script for that, and given the talent that's involved in that, yeah, could it be bad? Sure. I don't think so. Plus, the one built-in thing that the DCU can't really fuck with, no matter who's running it, is the standard of HBO. HBO, Casey Bloys, and all those people who run HBO are over their shoulders and making sure that this fits with the 30 years that they've been doing. There's a reason why when there was all that turnover, Casey Bloys kind of kept his job no matter what happened with that company. And he's still there because he knows the standard. He knows the standard. So I don't think you're going to have a Supergirl issue personally with Lantern, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. And Lanterns, to me, I endured these movies. I did my job as a fan, played the game. I endured these movies, told you what I thought about them. But my whole fucking mission was get to Lanterns. Get me to Lanterns. Get me to Lanterns. That's it. That's it. Once we're done talking about Supergirl, the next thing up is Lanterns. That's what I can. I don't really care what comes after Lanterns because I don't think some of it's going to happen. The stuff that's under production right now, sure, but all this other stuff, we're fan casting and all this stuff. I don't know if that stuff's going to happen. You know, show me a contract that the person who says it's going to happen is going to be there, and then I'll be going for it. You know, but other than that, no. Let's see. What's the best depiction of superhero? I find it hard to answer that question because it's going to differ from one person to another depending on what your preferences are. So, like, I'll give you mine, but then I'll hand it over to Brad, who's probably going to give you a completely different one. I did not like the 1980s movie. I loathe the version that was on Smallville, and I absolutely fucking hate the solo version that was on the CW. Nothing. Hold on, I'm gonna hand it over to you later. I didn't like anything about that show. I thought that show, and it's not to the fault of Melissa Benoist and anybody. If sometimes you're as good as what you have to work with. If I bring in a 5-star chef and all I give him is some mayonnaise and ground beef, what am I going to expect out of him? And that's what the CW is. So I didn't like the 80s movie. I didn't like either version that showed up on the CW. I watched maybe 5 minutes of her in animation where she's getting shit kicked out of her by Darkseid. I did like the version that was in the Flash, but I didn't get enough of her to form that kind of opinion. So I'm kind of in a tough spot. I'm just gonna defer that question until further down the line because I don't have a good answer for you. And I'll let you answer that one, Brad.
Yeah, I think probably I would say my favorite live action Supergirl thus far is Sasha Calle in the Flash. But again, would have wanted more of her. Still want more of her. The 84 movie, I mean, it is. One thing I will say about the 84 movie, I mean, say what you will about it. The flying scenes have actually aged surprisingly well, given the kind of technology of the time. They've actually aged better than most of the Reva Superman movies. Then what did we have? We had her on Smallville. I watched religiously. I liked her portrayal on Smallville a lot. I didn't keep up with her solo show on the CW that much. I watched it here and there, and I said before, that a byproduct of that was I was not that invested in Tyler Hoechlin's Superman at the time until he got his own show and kind of got the makeover there. And then of course we get now to this movie. So, but yeah, my number one for like live action Supergirl, I think I would say now is Sasha Calle in the Flash.
Yeah, I mean, that's based on what? I mean, I'm not even saying it's not, by the way, guys. I'm just saying, what do we know? What do we know? I know I'm not in any accounting or boardroom. And what it did financially doesn't mean anything to me. I didn't like the movie. If the movie had done $600 million and it was trash, I would say it was trash. But as far as that's like you guys, that would be like somebody saying I had a really bad day here at the Sci-Fi Center, and I didn't. I had a really good day, but you don't know my overhead. You don't know what my sales goals was. You don't know how much money I was sitting on before the day started. You don't know what I needed in order to make Saturday, June 27th, a success. That's how that goes. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at when it comes to, and I know we used to talk about that a lot, but a lot of that was carried over from when I was on Point Extra Lounge. It just became such a topic. And then as it went over and over and over again, I realized just how much we collectively don't know what the fuck we're talking about when it comes to these things. I still got people, telling me, 10 years later that Man of Steel was a failure. And see, that's what I mean. The one thing that has not changed in 10 years is we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Now, there are analysts that are inside the company and maybe know people this, know people that. And then even then, We got people on the trades that time that don't get the shit straight, and it's their job to do it. So I want to stray away from that because I collectively, not any particular individual, not you, Aaron, any particular individual, collectively, when it comes to that terminology, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. So I just, I don't want to be that show. Fuck, I'm late. Oh, you can fit in with Brad. Actually, we were all late today. I was 20 minutes late. That's how fucked up Brad was. I was 20 minutes late. Brad was even later than that, and he dragged himself. But thanks for being here, Brad.
Oh, but that means also that I'm not as late as I thought I was, because that you 20 minutes late.
No, because I hit start
20 minutes. That 20 minutes out of my tardiness.
Because I said I hit the start button, and then I got a family of people in from Puerto Rico, and we went to town. We had some fun with those
by the way, also because I've seen some talk about this too, as far as like ranking this. We've got 2 movies in this universe now, so but Superman is the better of the two. It's like I do like Superman quite a bit more.
Yeah. This and like I said, once again, circumstances. This, in my opinion, and I'll defend this. I don't care if I'm the only one in the room. Should not have been the number 2 movie. This should not have been the number 2 movie. Whenever, in my opinion, take it for what it was, is when you put the pieces in the wrong place at the wrong time, you put more stress on something to do more than it should be doing. It's like the Flash. Well, the Flash did this, the Flash did it. The Flash is the fucking guy at the end of the bench. QB1, QB2, and QB3 are the ones you think they should be. And because they fucked up that, they put stress on Black Adam. Black Adam is going to tell you whether we can do this. No, Black Adam, what? A Z-list character? Oh, well, it's Dwayne Johnson. Let's listen. Tom Cruise can be in a movie. He's one of the biggest stars in the world. And not only could the movie suck, but people would not go see it. There's plenty of examples of really, 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 really big stars being in movies, and people just don't go see them because they don't. You know what? Guess what? That guy's notoriety and his name is not big enough. It doesn't overcome the question I have. And when it comes to Black Adam, who the fuck is Black Adam? When Joe Average asks, I know who Dwayne Johnson is, but who's Black Adam? I see a cape. I see an emblem. Where's Superman? So I think that's I think that's the problem is and I don't even know if it's a Marvel thing anymore because I think he's trying to be not Marvel, but to me it's not. I'm not going to say paint by numbers, but I just think and it may sound like I don't like the D-listers. The D-listers, you have to have them. They are an essential part, supporting characters, every character, but there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for them, and a sequence, I think, gives everybody involved the best chance to succeed. Thank God the villain shot Krypto either 3-day... And that really, you know what? When you hurt an animal, even if I know the story, I'm just supposed to feel a lot more angrier about the guy who did it. And I'm like, let's see, Avatar. Good to hear you and Brad. I'm hoping you and Brad complain about the visuals. That let me and others down from being glued to the trailer. Everything felt point. Did you? First, I don't even want to go even further with you for it if you didn't see the movie, because there's a different level of that. I have to be talking to somebody who saw the movie, and I'm pretty sure you didn't go see the movie. Let's see, Clinton. We must have seen the wrong movie. Something ain't right. But honestly, I thought, damn, those movies are long but personally fulfilling. But okay. All right, the crazy shit I've seen around this movie has been next level, from calling Millie ugly, which I'm.
Yeah, that's crossing the line. All that stuff about with her.
Everybody's got their preference of what they find attractive. No, I don't find Millie unattractive.
Yeah. To Fox News, don't take that seriously, or don't give them the time. Like they're putting the Mad Max feral kid face on her. It's like we can do that. We can.
The one from Toy Story that I thought was most disrespectful.
We can dislike these things, or we can have issues with these movies without like you
That's your internet for you, though.
crucifying somebody on a on a level like that. So it's like, yeah, don't partake in that, guys.
The crazy shit I've seen about this movie is next level, from calling Millie ugly to Fox News. Well, there, you lost me there. Fox News talking about this by comment and some a-holes making fun of a Supergirl fan enjoying the movie. Yeah, and that's the kind of dumb shit that we bounce off each other. When I went to the movie and I talked, like I said, I will before I do my review, I talk to people. I like to talk to people when I come out of movies, even if it's not a free screening. Most of those people who are going to see the movie that are not eternally on the internet don't even hear that shit. They don't hear that shit. Like some of the stuff that people tried to compare Millie Alcock to some of the stuff that Rachel Zegler said. Nobody cares. People on the web think that everybody cares about what people on the web care about. And if the movies that Rachel Zegler were in were good, and everybody who I know that saw that Snow White movie that doesn't follow the internet as much as the people who do, just thought it was a bad movie. So yeah, I mean, and there are people who say some really, really, really crazy shit, and that you think alienate everybody, but then you realize that the average audience is there to be entertained and leave. That's it. Us on programs like this and on formats like this, we think that everybody is paying attention to that, and it came out with like when like Michael. I use Michael Jackson as a primary example. Michael Jackson had some sordid allegations about him that would scare a lot of people away. But did Michael Jackson's customers give a crap about that? No. You know how he died? Because he was under so much pressure and he couldn't sleep because he had a sold out global tour. This is what's settling allegations, and we're not even bringing those up because they might demonetize me. So, yeah, some of the stuff that I saw thrown at her, and that I see thrown at some of these people in these movies, and then I actually go sit with human beings, and I'll ask. I mean, did you hear anything? No, I didn't hear about that. But if you talk to somebody on YouTube or on Twitter, man, you would think it was like top story, breaking news, and it's not always that case. Do I put more blame on this shortcoming on Craig?
Rana Noguera or Noguera. He's the screenwriter. Craig Gillespie or Rana. I know.
Okay, both, but not as much as I put on the executive branch that said yes. Because as much as I would change about this movie, and as disappointing as this movie was for me, we wouldn't be having, or we could be having this conversation, but we will be having it in a bubble that wouldn't matter had you released it somewhere down the line. Captain Marvel was a mediocre movie. It made its billion. And the conversation around Captain Marvel when it came out wasn't the best, but it wasn't anything like this. So yeah, I think there's enough of it to go around at the end of the day.
By
But
the way,
I never blame the employees. I blame the management.
she again, I'm not sure if I pronounced her name right. Anna Noguera was all. She's also been attached to the scripting of Wonder Woman. And there's pretty much as soon as this movie hit theaters, there has been a lot of commentary on like, oh, is that gonna stick? Is she going to retain that that writing gig?
Who knows?
Time will tell.
Dude, I've been saying this since the beginning, and I'm almost certain I would bet a very expensive comic here somewhere that Man of Tomorrow will have Batman in it. Not all over it, but he will be in there. There will be a clear on call. You will be on notice. You will be on notice, and he'll be in the trailers. By the way, even if he might be Lobo-sized portion of the movie, but if Batman is in Man of Tomorrow, Batman will be in the trailer. Because at some point you got to put that notification out. Thank you for the $5 super chat, and then continue to support. Let's see. I say great news is that I think this movie has helped put Supergirl on more people's mind. Characters leads. Maybe no solo movie for a good while. I say yes to that, Jalen, but not in a good way. I think it may put it on more people's minds than it was before, but I don't think anybody cared about this character to that level. It's not about knowing who she is. It's about knowing who is out, who's supposed to be here. You know what I mean? Giving her more recognition, I say, is yeah, and that's all good and fine. But the problem, and as I say, all these movies are made on borrowed money and borrowed time. How much time do you have to showcase what you came here to showcase? You know, if we know where this is all going, at some point we got to get there. You know, that's what I'm saying. Fans saying they can run a company better than people in charge. No, no, no. Listen. Whatever criticism I have of what James did, I don't have. This movie disappointed me. He's better at directing and making movies than I ever will be. He's actually done it. So he kind of. Yeah, but people change it. It morphs into whatever people want to use it for. That's why I just say don't fucking use it. Or if you want to use it, I'm just not going to take you seriously because you can't just cut it down to a one dimensional. If you don't know, you're making guessing games. It's someone else's money. Now if that person comes out, the money guy comes out and says, "Well, we needed this and we didn't get this," and you got exactly. And yeah, otherwise it just becomes a weaponized word. And it's like the word woke to me, or what's the other one? Delusional. One of the key words that will make me disengage with you or scroll past you is watching the 90% of the people who use the word delusional in the wrong context. I will cut tie. I will go. I will politely leave. I will if I hear you talking it and you've used it in the wrong context, which is almost all the time, I'm just going to be like, wow, fuck. Is that my mom calling? Oh, wow. Is that, if I'm online, I just keep scrolling. These words, it's like these words aren't keys to get you into better conversations. And if you don't know the context of them, it just tells me that maybe I just move on from talking to you. Like the word delusional, which most people online shouldn't be using unless they fucking know what it means. So I'm going to give you an example. Now, if I said, Brad, I'm going to be where you're sitting in 5 minutes, sitting right next to you, right? Like in 5 minutes, I'm going to be in Savannah. I'm going to be sitting right next to you in Murphy. That's a delusion.
Murphy, get ready.
Because, yeah. That's a delusion. You know why, in my opinion, in the way I frame the word, that's a delusion? That cannot happen. There is no possibility for me to end up sitting right next to you in person in 5 minutes. That cannot happen. There is no possibility. Now, usually the word got overused when we were discussing whole Snyder stuff, right? You Snyder fans are delusional. You did this and this and that. I scroll up, or I walk away, or I mute you, or I get out of that stream, or I just go somewhere else. Here's why. The odds of something happening are not what makes that word what it is. You may not believe that something can happen, but unless it is an absolute impossibility that can happen, that is not a delusion. A delusion is me saying, I'm going to grow claws and fucking butterfly wings out of my back, and I'm going to fly out of the Sci-Fi Center right now in front of you. That cannot happen. Now, if I say I'm going down and I'm going to hit megabucks, that's a delusion. Would be like if I had no odds to do so. Delusional would be thinking that I am absolutely going to do so. But the act and the thought process of me, it's a gamble. The fact that it's a gamble, there is a chance that it can happen. So I hate when people use words in context to fit into conversations that they probably don't belong in, and it probably shouldn't be in. And I consider woke one of those words. I consider flop one of those words. I think smart, really smart people misuse that word, and instead of using it in the context, it's used as a weapon. I'm not here to talk about. I don't get any of Supergirl's box office or Spider Man's box office. Um, so yeah, I mean, now movies get released, public earnings and stuff, because we can have that conversation once stuff starts getting released, and these are public companies. So 6 months from now, when DC or whatever, Warner Brothers, Paramount, wherever the hell they end up being, they have to release their quarterly earnings to their stockholders, and then that's public information. Then you come back, then you can. But while the movie's in motion and the money's still being made for us using the word flop, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We really don't. Let's see. I was more annoyed about the green sun, kryptonite sun, all the green radiation. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, oh, there's two suns. There's you're basically telling me I'm waiting for the other sun to rise. I didn't think that was the best. I didn't think that was the best use of any of that. MJF would go, yeah. I mean, yeah, I could hear his voice in my head. Like I said, not a horrible movie. I'm not going to go see it again.
But that's just Kryptonite. That was something I did like in Superman was, the way they portrayed it when he's near Kryptonite. They portrayed it outwardly like it's burning his skin. Like there's the first time they really showed outward effects on him, because usually it's they hold up the rock or they spray
that wasn't even real Kryptonite. That was Metamorpho.
Yeah, yeah. So, but usually it's a rock or the mist, and you're just gonna see him writhing in pain with it, and that was the first time that kind of showed like an external effect on him, where it's okay, this is the closer he gets to it, this actually we see outwardly what it's doing to him. I thought that was a pretty good touch, the idea that it burns him to be that close to Kryptonite. So that was a plus, one of the plus column for me from Superman, with the portrayal of Kryptonite.
I don't know Rational. I don't know what Paramount's going to do. I don't know what the deal. See, none of us know what the deal entailed. So I don't know whether he did other things through third party for them. I don't know if there were other tasks that he is compensated for, other things that he did with his production company. I don't know who is supposed to be distributing whatever work he's done. For all we know, he could have satisfied that, and we just don't know because we never knew to begin with. So almost nobody knew, because a lot of that stuff wasn't publicly released, about what J.J. Abrams' deal was with Warner Brothers, Paramount, or whatever, or how that deal will be affected by if the merger happens and the merger becomes two company. His deal can be, because when you merge companies, you have a write-off. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know and that none of us know to be able to give you an answer that I wouldn't be talking out of my ass with. So I know as much about that contract as I do James Gunn's contract coming up. I don't have any answers for you there. Sorry. I got the super chat. I'm just trying to go in order here, as much as order. Give me the Green Lantern, man. I listen, guys. To be fair, I've been consistent, and I heard this slate, and I've heard who was working on this. I'm like, I did my golf clap for the other stuff, but when I heard the premise, and then because remember he announced the premise and the people doing it at the same time, and I'm like, everything about this makes me happy. So now I did Creature Commandos, did our what. We did Superman. We did all this. We went through all this. Now I want my prize. All right, my prize is Lanterns, and please be good. And I don't have much doubt that it will be, but if it sucks, trust me, a very, very tragically disappointed me will be on these airwaves. But if it's good, then hey, you know what? I'm not think I'm going to be talking and thinking about Supergirl until I see her again in another movie. If Lanterns is good, nope. Think I'm going to be talking about. I'll talk about Clayface as we get to Clayface, but I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be talking about Man of Tomorrow. I'm going to probably talk about that because it's a year away. It's literally over a year away, so I'm not even worried about this. Give me the Lanterns. And that DC needs to move away from the Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent cul-de-sac. They need to go beyond those characters. No, because it's not like Star Wars. I saw what you did there. Not like Star Wars. When you gone 85 years on every format that you've ever done these characters on, you start with them. Now, the difference between like this and Star Wars is we started with them back in 77 and we just keep going back. That is a cul-de-sac. When you just keep coming back to the same houses and the names and faces have been changed to protect the innocent, but we're basically dealing with the same thing, that's different. I'm not saying we don't need to we don't need to move away necessarily for Bruce and Clark. We need to use them to get to the other characters to grow our universe. That's the problem I have with Star Wars is we haven't, the nostalgia and the security blanket is a little bit too tight. The security blanket with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman is not just a security blanket, it's a trusted foundation in which to launch these off. There are more characters in DC than just those three characters, but the majority of the characters have those weight in their presentation and their opportunity because of those three characters. That's the difference. Do I ever want to see Booster Gold? No. But if we're going to do Booster Gold, I need a foundation that's been set so that when I do Booster Gold, he succeeds. With Star Wars, it's just we just keep rolling back Luke, rolling back Luke, rolling back Luke, rolling back Skywalker. Let's stay in the same. I hope Starfighter is different. But when it's DC, the Trinity is your recognizable launching pad. And you don't need to, all your movies don't need to be them. But the Star Wars universe is already built. We're not trying to establish the Star Wars universe. We're trying to establish this DCU. You don't need to buy yourself time with Star Wars. You need to buy yourself that time with DCU. So thank you for the $5 super chat. And non-vendetta. I hope I'm pronouncing that wrong. Right. That's what happened to the Dark Universe and Universal. They had a good thing going with Dracula Untold until they said, let's go and start Dark Universe with the Mummy. I didn't even know Dracula was Untold was part of that. That's just me. I'm getting to them. I'm getting there. That's why I try to go in order so I don't miss everything. People who don't speak cinematography language, which is almost everybody, are doing reviews trying to find words to describe how ugly the movie is, and they're catching on to bad color grading. I'm not a cinematographer. I know nothing, but I do know what appeals to me as far as what is supposed to be represented. And I know what's lacking, like in the Supergirl scenes in the different worlds, I thought they're just because this is where the color would have been, because I thought Superman kind of overbled. This underdid it. So I don't know all the technical terms. You're right, Forth, but I can articulate enough to the point where I can tell you what I thought was lacking there.
Yeah. By the way,
now, anything beyond that,
one important comment you skipped over here. That's true, sis.
For a reason. And that is not his sister. For those of you who are watching, Brad is creepy. Let's see. Let's go down. You'd rather a movie be horrible? To me, I've seen too many horrible. I want good movies, and if it's not really good, then it's just
no. See, I get reports coming from there. There's like it reminds me of this and I'm sure you'll be shocked you're gonna be quoting this individual on the show. There's a Bruce Lee quote where he says don't fear failure but low aim. Like in glorious attempts, or in great attempts, it's glorious.
They're wastes of time. My time is too valuable for that shit. My time is too valuable for fucking around like that. Let's see.
How about Rev? I think we can probably. I think we can guess who her favorite Supergirl is.
I think Belle loved it. I think I'm waiting to see Belle. I don't even know if she saw it, but This Detective Somerset from Seven would have wanted you to have expected such eventually.
What about what about how Supergirl turned out?
I'm so far down. I'm trying. Okay, I've caught up. All right, guys. Where's your bunless burger? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Why would you do that?
It's a good question.
See, you're cracking jokes that I don't get, and Brad's doing his usual bad.
Yeah. Good question.
Dad jokes about kids. All right. So last topic of the night is good news. This is I woke up to this and I got because I woke up. I was around 10 o'clock when I woke up to this, and then I had been tagged by everybody and their mom with this. And when I got the thing, I hadn't seen this part of it first. Oh, we're doing a crypto thing. I'm like, okay, why the fuck did you tag me in this? Oh, we're doing a Joker laugh, whatever thing. Okay, all right, that's great. I could have, why'd you tag me in this? And then I scrolled down and I saw this, and then I saw that Scott Steiner, not the big booty daddy, not Scott Steiner, Scott Snyder had posted this and reposted this, and this was everywhere. And I am thrilled, and I expected this. I expected this when I said when the Absolute Universe came out in October of 2024 that within 3 years we're going to see Batman, Absolute Batman. I said it over and over again. There's probably hundreds of times where I've said this, that Absolute Batman was going to be on some medium other than comics, some motion medium inside of 3 years. And we are not only are we inside of 3 years, we have this announcement inside of 2 years. So we're going to get it right around that time. So I met the announcement because it's probably in production. This has had everybody who has their hands. I don't know how many posts I've seen with everybody who has an Absolute Batman #1 upping the price. So I mean, I saw one book because I tracked some of these just to see where they're going. I tracked the sale somewhere, and then I get an email about a price increase from $300, which is really high. This motherfucker wants $600.
So this is such great news that it's instigated like scalping on Absolute Batman.
Pretty much. This cat that I saw wanted $600 for a non-signed one. And then you got the people who, if it's graded, and then they're charging even more. Mine is only signed by Scott Snyder, but it will be signed by Neil Jagoda. But I saw a guy just with this raw. Raw means it's not slabbed, it's not graded, and that's what I don't do slabbed and graded. So I don't even sell it, kind of stuff. Here, he had a signed one for $7, and I'm like, what? And not graded or nothing. So I'm like, okay. And then I have my not garbage can, my ash can that I have signed as well. And I saw a guy wanting hundreds of dollars for that. And as soon as that announcement was made, I saw some prices going. I'm like, oh my goodness. Because I'm thinking, hey, maybe as these things, maybe they'll come down someday. And maybe I can grab some more, a few more, so put them in something. Nope, not today. not now. And that's just with the announcement of it. Just wait till it gets released. When I interviewed Scott in, what was it, March? When we did the interview at WonderCon, and I got to talk to him a little bit off the air, and then afterwards, but one of the questions I made sure that I asked him was, in the next 3 years, what medium do you see Absolute Batman being displayed in? And before I even finish, you can watch that. You can go to my video section and you can watch that interview. Before I was even done, he said animation. And given that was back in March, early Aprilish time, I'm gonna say that he knew. I'm gonna say that this wasn't just something that came out that day. That this was something that was being worked on, that was in pre-production. So, and to be honest with you, unless you're going to use a lot of CGI, animation is the best format for this. Because how are you going to make the big, ginormous 10-foot Bane and the 7-foot Batman move like it should? I think animation is going to be, and eventually they're going to, but I think this is brilliant. We're less than 2 years into this. We are less than 2 years into the Absolute Universe. Batman being the oldest one. We won't be at 2 years in the Absolute Universe until October of 2024 or 2026. I'm sorry. So that's 2 years. Within 2 years, you sold a crap. We sold millions, over 15 million copies of total Absolute titles sold in 2 years. That's phenomenal. In this day and era where people have more to do. People got video games, they got sports, they got other things to do, and you're selling those type of. Thank you. We are selling this amount of books, and after the '90s, where we have 10 million copies of Death of Superman and Nightfall. After we went through that era of oversaturation, and for the next 15, 20 years, everybody was afraid to do high print runs because of what happens. So we're doing that after all that, and we got Absolute Batman. We got a cartoon coming, and it's going to be adult oriented cartoon, which means it's not going to be some refined shit. It's going to be Absolute Batman. The axe will be used in this.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see that.
So, and then him, I think the one scene I can't wait to see is when he kicks that kid into the water.
Yeah,
fuck those kids.
Now,
so
one question I have. I mean, this is
how you doing, Kingdom Nerf? I think it's Booster.
I mean, this is the first announcement of any kind of adaptation, external comics of Absolute DC. Do you think they've got this in the works? Obviously, they've had this in the works, for long. They just like decide today we're doing this. They've been at this for a little bit. Do you think? What would you say are the? Do you think they have anything else like Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, anything else like percolating right now?
I do. I think we'll get them all. I think over the course of the next 2 years we'll get them all. But we're starting. Guess where, guys? We're starting with Batman.
Well, but do you think that like we'll get the news of them like before? Like in the run up to Absolute Batman, oh, by the way, here Absolute Superman's coming.
I don't know. I don't know because I was expecting this to happen, but I didn't know when this was getting announced. So I couldn't tell you. But I do expect that you'll get those over the course of time, and I think it will be in the same order that the Absolute Universe and the DC Universe was created to begin with the exception of Superman. Superman was first, but
But it's very who. I mean, this maybe is drifting a little bit to fan casting, but who could you see would be like a good capture like the voice of Absolute Batman really well in this?
I don't know.
I mean,
there's so many.
I mean, for obvious reasons, it's not going to be Kevin Conroy.
I don't think that would have been the right character, even if he was alive.
Well, not the least of which because this Batman is he's 24, right? So.
Well, that and he's huge with a much larger. He's probably gonna have a much deeper. Deeper gravelly voice.
That's the thing about this. Is again the if I could summarize like Absolute Bat like the mandate from like reading that. I mean they reinvent Absolute DC reinvents all the characters in different ways. For like Batman, both with the Dark Knight himself and with all the supporting characters, the mandate was make everything bigger. make Batman the size of the Hulk, make his Batmobile into like a construction site on wheels, make Bane into the size of regular Doomsday. Yeah, so it's like the proportions on the animations, the animation of this is going to be really interesting. Do you think we'll get anything about this at Comic-Con? Do you think they'll talk more about this at Comic-Con?
Yeah, I think because he has a panel. He has a panel, and this is gonna go over the panel. Will Absolute Batman animated series be the antidote for the '90s? I don't think for me there will never be any antidote, but it is a 30 years later. It tells you where we were at in the '90s, where we were so fearful of what would happen to kids if we gave them Batman. So we gave them Flintstone vitamins Batman. And where we are in 2026, we're like, fuck it, you've been playing all these violent games, and your games show people getting ripped apart, shot in the head. TV-14 is a little bit different. So I'm just glad we're in a time that we can get an animated Batman that does not have to be refined and cut up into small pieces and fed to children. Because Absolute Batman is not for children.
I'm so happy Scott success of the Absolute series and Absolute Batman's getting an animated series. And I know, oh hell yeah, we'll be doing a watch party when the time comes.
Yeah, we'll be watching those as they come out. I hope they don't do them all at once either. Josh Gad, I'm not as familiar with it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, guys, that's about what.
Aaron suggested.
I don't know if Jared close. Who is he?
Yeah, I kind of know who. I'm not too familiar with that guy. I think I know what she's talking about though.
All right, guys. I covered all of everything. We covered animation. I didn't even put the discussion of the Trinity in the thumbnail because I didn't really need to. But yeah, that's where. So to wrap up the show, we covered we did a spoiler review. Oh, I can probably take the spoiler review. We did the spoiler review of Supergirl. I didn't think it was a horrible movie. I didn't think it was a very good movie. And we discussed our reasons there. Discussed when you're establishing the Trinity and anything you do, DC, it doesn't always have to stay on Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, but it damn sure needs to start there. And I think this was a mistake to do a derivative character before we got at least another one of them out there. And then we discussed absolute Batman with extreme glee and joy. This is just as the announcement goes. So there you go. Like I said at the beginning of the show, next week we will be starting the show at 8 sharp next week, unless I get as close as possible. If I have customers, I got to deal with them. But we will plan to do the show at 8, and then we're going to go 90 minutes, and after that, I'm going to. Like I said before, I stole this from Film Junk. You know that people. We're going to do a post game show that's going to be exclusively on our Patreon, and that's where we will do open panels. Where we will do open panels. We will be able to do stuff that would get us copyright stricken or taken down, because this is going to be a private stream that only the Patreons will have access to. So it won't be getting broadcast to the algorithm. So I'll set that up. So that'll run for about a half hour, 45 minutes after the Saturday overnight live show. It'll be a post game show. So if you are a Patreon, to thank you for your continued support. If you're not a Patreon, the link is in the description. Also, for the Sunday night shows starting next week, I'm going to do the same thing. Those will be a little bit later. Those will be for some of the YouTube channel members, or our channel members that I want to get in on this too. So programming notes for next week. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight.
Also, Saturday, this coming Saturday, 4th of July. You know what that means, right?
Oh, yeah. We'll have to do a watch party of that.
30th anniversary. 30th anniversary.
I wish we had it. I wish we were releasing a better movie this year. A part 3 that erases that dredge of a movie. So, all right, guys, like, subscribe.
There's one more super chat apparently.
There's still time to send me to Comic-Con. What we got here? Hold on.
William Gunn is building a luxurious cruise called the DCU. Either critics get on board or they stay on the sinking boat.
Critics are meaningless to me. Critics, I don't, Rational, you've been with me long enough to know how much weight I put on critics and critics scores. I don't care about the B. I don't care. I know, because I know the parameters of when I went to go see the movies, where I was at. The money is where we're going to, the final tally. And like I said, we don't know what's a win or a loss yet, because I don't have a true number of the budget. We won't know that stuff until these things are publicly released months and months down the line in bits and pieces, because it's a publicly traded company. As far as the critics being on board, listen, the critics don't need to be on board. But you do want some momentum. You do want people to go see your movie. So you want people to view your products, because the critics have destroyed certain movies and they've gone on to make good money. So I'm pretty sure, if depending on what their number that they have to reach is, they'll be perfectly happy reaching that number or being within the vicinity of that number than they would ever give a shit, because more and more people are figuring out their own way to the movies without being held by the hand by critics. So the critics can get off. Now, the people you don't want to get off are the people you're trying to build a momentum of. So the people who enjoyed Superman 2025, they came back because they were propelled to from that movie, and then they got this movie. So yeah, see how it works out. So please, is that the last super chat? Is that it?
Yeah.
We got it. All right, cool. All right, guys, like, subscribe, share, enjoy, try to have fun at these things. I mean, I didn't have a bad time at the movies. I just didn't have as good a time as I thought I should have. We will. I was gonna do They Will Kill Me today. Sorry, Clint, but I've been dealing with stuff all day.
They will kill you.
They will kill you. Yeah. But I could not do it today. We were just too busy. I couldn't even set it up today. I'll have to figure out where we're going to put that, because obviously next Saturday is Independence Day. We have done, I think, the 3rd year in a row we will have done that. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get it in, but we'll get it in. And then we have 2 more episodes of Spider Noir. I think we're going to go ahead. I'm going to do my best to wipe both of those out and finish up the season 1 on Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, so probably Tuesday. Yeah, Forbidden Door tomorrow. That's going to be the last thing. I watched the pay per view today. It wasn't, but it's a 1 match pay per view. Sami Zayn won the title, and then the Io Sky match was all right. Pretty standard fare when it comes to WWE, but yeah, Forbidden Door, Kenny Omega, Zack Sabre, a whole bunch of there's just a bunch of great matches that are setting up for Wembley. So I will be on the air tomorrow to report on that. Maybe a little bit late because Tony Khan likes to do 10-hour pay per views, but so there we go. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, share the gospel, and unless I'm feeling like shit, I will see you guys tomorrow evening.
See you later, guys.